Luna is an intriguing and powerful character in the MLP universe, who is also exceedingly difficult to pin down. In the wake of the episode For Whom the Sweetie Belle Toils, another new aspect of her character was revealed: the ability to see the future. Foresight is often a quality assigned to gods, but it is not without its share of philosophical difficulties, and that is where I come in. In this video, I will look at the deterministic possibilities which arise when a being is endowed with foresight, and whether or not this is enough to destroy free will. First up, however, a disclaimer. The evidence in the episode is far from conclusive that Luna does indeed have a total knowledge of the future.
Go see what the future holds if you fail to rein in your worst instincts, as I once did. Recheck and recheck.
Who all wants to hear a funny story about my ex-costume designer?
Check, recheck, recheck, and recheck.
Make it stop! Princess Luna, can you hear me? Make me a dress rarity, please.
Go away. You know I don't do that anymore.
Wake me up, Princess Luna! Wake me up! Wake me up!
Judging from this scene, there remains multiple possibilities which the fandom has already raised. 1. Luna could have made up Rarity's future to scare Sweetie Belle into doing the right thing. 2. Luna could have a limited ability to predict a likely future, but this could be one of many. 3. Luna can flat out see the future. Obviously, for the sake of this video, we will have to assume that either number 2 or 3 is correct as a starting assumption, but I would also like to offer a justification for doing so, using the parallel example of Luna's handling of Scootaloo's troubles. When addressing Scootaloo, Luna dispelled her imagined fears and drew Scootaloo's attention to the real fear she had of facing up to Rainbow Dash. Therefore, there is a precedent set that Luna does her best to guide ponies to the truth of their actions and dispel false fears, rather than use them. I think, therefore, that I am justified in assuming that either 2 or 3 is correct interpretation of Luna's power. With that out of the way, we can return to the problem at hand. If Luna can see a pony's future actions before they do them, in what possible way are they free to choose? This is a problem that has much vexed theologians and philosophers throughout the centuries, and is known as the concept of predestination, referring to how God seemingly predestines the lives of mortals. The most important work on this topic is Boethius' Consolations of Philosophy, to which we will now turn. In the Consolations, Boethius states the problem thusly: necessity lies either in that future events are foreseen by God, or that things foreseen happen because they are foreseen, and either conclusion is sufficient to eliminate the freedom of the will. In other words, when God sees the future, there are 2 possibilities. Either he simply sees the future, or his very foresight creates the future. In the first case, by God seeing the future, whether or not this directly caused it, the future is nevertheless set in stone. God cannot be mistaken. In the second case, it is God's very sight that has created the future, and therefore once again it is inescapable. If Luna truly has such power, then is there any real hope for free will to reign in Equestria? Fortunately, the answer is yes. Boethius did not bring up the issues of predestination only to give up. Instead, he offers a cunning argument for how free will can be preserved at the same time as God's foresight. The argument centers around the concept of eternity. In theology, there is a debate about what eternity means. It could mean that God exists from the beginning of time to the end, unaging but experiencing time like we do in terms of past, present, and future. Or alternatively, it could be what Boethius proposed. Drawing on Platonic influences, he suggested that the eternity actually means God exists outside of time altogether. This difference in eternity allows an interesting re-evaluation of the concept of predestination. The reason that God's foresight had a determining effect is because when he saw the future, it was before anyone had done anything, therefore removing their choice to do it. If God is outside of time, however, there is no future for him to perceive. Instead, Boethius describes his perspective as knowledge of the unceasing present moment. God sees the entirety of space-time from a perspective outside of the continuum, thus to him everything is happening at once. This means that all of God's knowledge of the future is still true, but it is knowledge to him of merely the present. Therefore, what he has knowledge of is already happening from his perspective, and he cannot know it before it is chosen, only at the exact moment that it is chosen. So both God's foreknowledge and freedom are preserved. Returning to Luna, we can see how applying this argument may have some difficulties. It is clear that Luna does experience time, as seen by her banishment to the moon for 1,000 years, which she clearly experienced. We therefore require one more piece of evidence to save Equestria from predestination. This is the celestial plane. First seen in Twilight's Ascension, this mysterious realm was once again shown in For Whom the Sweetie Belle Toils, as a kind of gateway dimension between dreams and reality. It would seem then that this realm is outside the terrestrial plane of space-time inhabited by Equestria, and when Luna is there, it is akin to how Boethius describes God being outside time in our world. Since Luna only shows foreknowledge of the future inside this realm, she also only has foreknowledge when outside of time, and therefore her foreknowledge is of unceasing present moment rather than future. As a result, even though Luna can see the future, Equestrians are nevertheless free. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed yourself and maybe learned something too. What are your thoughts? Does Boethius' argument successfully save free will from predestination, or does it fail? Is Luna eternal in the sense Boethius proposes, or in the more mundane alternative sense? Let me know in the comments. Until next time then, this is Nightsphere the Gnostic. Goodbye.